Everybody, and welcome to our show today. So today we're going to be diving in. I'm going to be mapping out in detail the steps to build business credit. We're going to talk about 8 different steps so you can actually build business credit for your EIN number that's not linked to your personal Social Security number. We have a ton of stuff to go over today. So I'm not going to be taking questions during the live event, but if you have questions, feel free to type them in. I might cover them during the event anyways, and then at the end, I will try to circle back around to make sure that I answer questions that everybody has. So let me first introduce myself. My name's Ty Crandall. I'm actually the CEO here at CreditSuite. And what we do is we help people build corporate credit. So we've helped over 10,000 people build business credit just over the last few years. So I have a lot of knowledge and experience about what I'm going to tell you today. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to reach out to us. Our number direct is 877-600-2487. Our email is info@creditsuite.com. And we've got a great guide that maps out the steps to build business credit you can get as well at creditsuite.com/EIN. So when we talk about business credit, we're talking about credit that's directly linked to your tax ID number for your business, or basically your EIN number, not your personal Social Security number. So because of this, your business needs to build credit to buy the goods and services it needs, so it doesn't need to rely on your personal credit to be able to do so. A lot of people start a business and start using their personal credit for this purpose, although this is actually what business credit is really designed for. So inquiries for business credit don't show on your personal credit report, so they don't adversely affect your consumer credit scores. There's a lot of reasons you're going to want to build business credit, and this is one of them. In my world, in the commercial credit and loan space, inquiries are worth gold. You have to be very, very, very careful. As a consumer, I didn't really care that much about inquiries because I didn't have a lot on my credit report at any given time. But for a business, even one inquiry can cost you $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 worth of potential funding. So you have to be very, very, very select and careful about the inquiries that you put on your personal credit report. What's nice about business credit is that you can obtain all the credit we're going to talk about today, except for one exception, which is an alternative program I'll show you, without having any inquiries on your consumer credit reports. Your business and personal credit scores can be very different, are very different from each other. But the nice thing about this is that when you're building business credit, you're not adversely affecting any aspect of your consumer credit score. Whereas if you're using consumer credit to fund your business, you definitely are. So with 2 separate business credit profiles, consumer and business, you basically can get twice as many credit cards to be able to fund your life, because you can get a Staples or a Home Depot or an Office Depot for you personally, but you can't get another one of those for you personally, but you can get one for you personally and another one for your business. So what happens is it doubles your borrowing ability, because most places that you have credit cards now, you can also get commercial credit cards at the same time. Now, business credit scores really only depend on whether you pay your bills on time or not. Unlike consumer credit, business credit scores, especially with Dun Bradstreet and Equifax, are strictly based on how you pay your bills. So if you pay your bills on time, that's all that's needed to really get good scores. Whereas personal credit scores depend on a lot of other factors that tie into your score. So people commonly ask, is utilization of credit, is inquiries, does that really affect your commercial credit scores? The answer is no. With Dun & Bradstreet and Equifax, they don't have any account for any aspect of the score. And with Experian, they account for a little bit of the score, but the greater majority of the score is all based on payment history. So business credit doesn't happen automatically. And by the way, there's a lot of benefits that I could go through here when it comes to building business credit. You can build it without liability. You can get it without having a guarantee. You could build it really, really quickly. I'm going to show you today how to get all the way to the end in 6 months and how to get credit initially in the very beginning. You get a competitive advantage, and having access to capital helps you, build the business faster. You can get it as a startup without cash flow, without credit, without collateral. You can get really high limit accounts, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 and higher within a very short period of time. The purpose of today is not to go through all the benefits. If you want to know more about what business credit can do for you, go to youtube.com/credit suite, and we've got videos that will walk all that through. But today I just want to talk about this, the actual steps of building business credit. So business credit does not happen automatically. A lot of people think that just because they have a business, just because they have an EIN, that they should also have credit. That's not what happens. You have to be very intentional about building business credit. You have to actively work on building it, or it will not get built. This is unlike the things in the consumer world. In the consumer world, most credit issuers and lenders have to report to the reporting agencies. That's their requirement. So most credit you get, it ends up reporting whether you know it or want it to or not. But in the business world, very little, very small percentage, less than 3% of all credit out there actually reports to the business credit reporting agency. So you have to be very intentional to build your business credit. It just will not happen without you actively working on it. Now, it can be done easily, can be done quickly, and you just need to understand how to do it. And if you do, then you'll be able to build it much faster than you've ever been able to build consumer credit, partially because business credit scores are based on payment history. So as long as we get you credit that reports and you pay the bills as agreed, then it's very fast for you to build versus consumer credit, which has so many other variables. And vendors, which we're going to talk about here, are a very important part of this process as well. Now, if you do try to do the steps out of order, you're going to be turned down a lot. And this is what happens. I'm going to walk you through these 8 steps in order. The problem is that if you don't come in, and if anybody else is having issues with seeing the screen, let me know. Somebody just said that, but I'm sure if anybody else was having the issue, I would see a comment. But if anybody is having an issue seeing the actual slide share or the slide deck, let me know. So if you do try to take the steps out of order, then what happens is you're just going to get turned down. You're going to get denied. You're not going to know why. You have to follow these steps in precise order. You can't start with step 8 and work backwards. A lot of people actually, let me see if I can change the screen share because somebody else said that they're having a tough time seeing the screen. Let me go to that, and then I will come and do this. So please let me know if anybody else can or cannot see the screen. Please let me know. A couple people have said they're having issues seeing the screen. There we go. Okay, cool. Perfect. All right. So you cannot start with step 8 or step 5 and go backwards. A lot of people want to just skip to the end. And I hear this all the time. Hey, look, I don't want to take those steps. I just want to get a Visa card with no personal guarantee or no personal credit check. Well, don't we all? Everybody would like to do that. But Visa's not going to give you that credit card with no credit check or without a PG unless you meet certain requirements. The steps are to help you meet the requirements so you can get to the end and anywhere in between and not have issues and get approved and not get denied and not know why. So again, you can take the steps if you know the steps in order, but if you take them out of order, that's what will oftentimes get you denied. That's why I want to review with you today what the steps are and the exact order to actually take them. So step 1 starts with initially setting up a legitimate business. Your business has to look legitimate. You have to look credible when it comes to lenders or vendors, or you're just going to get denied. As a matter of fact, if you've ever applied for a business credit card or ever applied for a business loan and been denied, it's probably because you didn't meet one of these standards. And it starts with basically every line item that you fill out on an application. So your website, for example, needs to be professional. You need to have a website. You don't ever want to leave that field blank. You want to have a professional email address. You don't want to use a Yahoo or a Google type email address. It needs to be a professional email address like your name at yourcompany.com, for example. You need to have a business phone number. Don't ever use a mobile phone or a home phone. That will automatically get you denied. Make sure you have a fax number. Even though you won't use it, if you're leaving that field blank, it will count as a strike against you. Your phone number needs to be listed with 411. Initial vendors we're going to talk about here in, I think, step 3. Some of their only requirements is that you're listed with 411. So you want to make sure that you get a phone number and that you get it listed with 411.com or get listed with 411. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get approved with a lot of initial credit you're going to need to. Okay. You also want to get a toll-free number as well. So make sure you get a fax number, a phone number. Make sure you get a toll-free number. Make sure that phone number is listed with 411. You'll need a bank account for your business. When it comes to business credit, a lot of credit issuers won't look for this, but as you start to progress through your business, they absolutely will. Higher limit credit cards will care that you have this. Some sources won't actually even ship you information unless you have a bank account set up. Lenders won't lend you money unless you have this done. So you need to get this done early on in the process. Nowadays, a lot of lenders look at when you set up your business bank account as when your business was actually established. So make sure you get that done early. You need to have any licenses that's needed in your county, in your industry, in your state, for example. And these licenses all must have the exact name, the exact address, your phone number. every record that you have does. Your bank account, your utility statements, your licenses, your Secretary of State records, your listings with Google, Bing, Yahoo. Everything needs to reflect the exact same information. This is one of the number one reasons that people get denied when they try to go out and get loans or credit, is because the information the bank is pulling up from your application doesn't match exactly what they're finding online with places like your Secretary of State. As a matter of fact, with our clients, we do 4 different address searches alone that almost 97% of new clients all end up failing. And that's one of the basic reasons that they end up getting denied when it comes to loans. Once we correct things in this step and get them set up credibly, in a lot of cases, they're immediately able to turn around and start getting approved for the same loans they were denied by. So set up that business credibly. It really is the absolutely essential aspect. It's boring. It's cumbersome. You don't get an immediate reward when you do this. But the good thing is if you ever want to get loans or credit, you have to set up that business credibly. That credible foundation is the base of all approvals you'll get in the future. And if one of the building blocks is off, if you didn't do one of these things we talked about, then the problem is you'll oftentimes get denied, and you'll never even realize that the reason for denial comes all the way back to an issue here in step 1. So once you've done this, you next need to go to the IRS's website and get an EIN number. They're completely free. Never fall for a company that's making themselves look to be like the IRS and they're not. And you also really want to try to set up an entity that's a corporation or an LLC. And you'll set up the entity at your Secretary of State. So you'll first go to your Secretary of State, set up your entity, and then once you do this, you can go to the IRS and actually get your EIN number from that point on. Now, you want to try to choose a corporation or an LLC. You can start off as a sole proprietorship, even a partnership. Sometimes smaller companies do, but eventually you're going to have to change this because of many reasons, including taxes. Okay, the problem is that with a sole proprietorship and a partnership, you are the business. So the reason that becomes an issue is because if you're the business, you're always going to be liable. So you're always going to be liable in a lawsuit, in a judgment. So if you default on a business credit card that you're not personally guaranteeing, and you're a sole proprietorship or a sole proprietorship or a partnership, you are the business. So if the business gets sued, you can always get sued. So you really want to do it for that reason and that reason alone. You don't ever want to personally get sued if somebody sues your business, because maybe you didn't even do anything wrong. Maybe some lunatic crazy person decides to sue the business because they think it has a bunch of money. Well, if you're a sole proprietorship or partnership, you get sued as well. I'm not an attorney. I won't claim to be. But again, if you talk to attorneys, it's a good reason. In my world, you want to not be a sole proprietorship or a partnership, because then you're liable for the business debt. I don't want you to have to be. Okay. Another reason is taxes. And that's something to talk to your accountant about as well. A sole proprietorship means you're in it. You are the liability. You are the business. So taxes, liability, all that falls on your shoulders. If the business starts generating tons of profits, that rolls right over to your tax returns, for example. You don't want that to happen, which is part of the reason you should really consider an LLC or a corporation instead. Okay, if you operate your business as a sole proprietor, then at least file a DBA or a doing business as. If you don't, then your personal name's the same as your business. As a result, you can end up being personally liable for all your business debts, not to mention that you're putting your name out into the space recklessly when you don't necessarily need to. Plus, per the IRS, with this structure, a sole proprietorship, you have a 1 in 7 chance of an IRS audit versus a corporation that has a 1 in 50 chance of an IRS audit. So amongst all the reasons that you want to build business credit, being able to come in and have a 1 in 7 chance of getting audited versus a 1 in 50, you definitely want to go with the 1 in 50. That's a difference between being a corporation or a sole proprietorship. Also, you avoid confusion and significantly lower your chances of an IRS audit at the same time. Look, sole proprietorship and partnerships just are not the way you really want to go for almost any business, unless you're not really doing much in sales at all. But even then, no, you'll always be liable for what happens in the business, which is one of the reasons you really want to separate that and choose an entity as an LLC or an actual corporation. So the next step, after we set up the business credibly, after you've got set up with the IRS, you set up your Secretary of State with your name and entity with the Secretary of State, you've got your EIN number with the IRS. The next thing we want to do is you want to start the business credit reporting process. So you're going to do this by getting your DUNS number with Dun & Bradstreet. Now you can Google free DUNS, or you can go right to our website, creditsuite.com/DUNS, DUNS. I didn't even put the dash in between the letters to make it easy for you to get to. Now a DUNS number is basically, it's issued by Dun & Bradstreet, and it's a 9-digit number that identifies your business worldwide. So your social security number is the IRS's way of recognizing you as an individual in the United States of America. Your EIN number is the IRS's way of them recognizing your business as an individual entity in the United States of America. The PAYDEX, or the Dun & Bradstreet DUNS number, is a worldwide number. It's used in countries like Australia, for example, all over the world, and it's a worldwide identifying number for your business. So, for example, somebody in Australia could pull your DUNS number and pull up your business information, although they wouldn't know much about your EIN because that's only here in the United States. And you have to have a DUNS number to get a PAYDEX score with Dun & Bradstreet. So I get this question a lot through our groups on videos where people say, look, I got 1 or 2 accounts reported to Dun & Bradstreet. Why do I not have a report? Why are they refusing to give me a report? Well, there's 2 reasons that Dun & Bradstreet can fail to give you a report, even if you have credit that reports to them. I'll talk to you about one here in the next step, but one of the 2 reasons is because you don't have your DUNS number. Dun & Bradstreet will never populate a credit report or give you a PAYDEX score, which is the most common score in the business credit world, unless you have this DUNS number. It's why it's one of the early steps that you want to take. Now, again, a lot of people will ask, hey, do I need a DUNS number to get approved for vendor credit? Do I need a DUNS number to get approved with a lot of credit sources? You'll see that in the next step, some credit issuers will issue you credit even without a DUNS number, but many won't. Okay, I had an example where I was building a company or credit for a company and applied for a Staples and Office Depot and got denied, which was weird because the accounts had, or there was credit reporting to DMB. The account should have been approved. I gave them the DUNS number. They didn't have it, and they used the DUNS number to get it approved. So for some reason, they weren't pulling up the credit history with the business. With the DUNS number, they were able to pull it up. So there's more uses for the DUNS and reasons to have it than not have it, which is why it's something you definitely need to do, especially since it's free. Now, if you have no DUNS, you're not going to have a PAYDEX. You'll never have a profile established with DMB. It's really going to harm your ability to build business credit. Now, the other thing you should know is Dun & Bradstreet will call and try to sell you their credit builder once you get the DUNS. You don't have to get on the phone with them. Every time Dun & Bradstreet calls or emails you, 100% of the time, they are trying to sell you something, and they're very good salespeople. If you don't want to be sold, don't pick up the phone. Don't reply to their email. There's nothing urgent they need to talk to you about. Nobody pulled your credit profile and saw you were going bankrupt. They're just using that spiel to get you to try to buy something you don't need. So make sure you get your DUNS. But again, if you don't want to pay for the credit builder, then you definitely don't need to do so. So once you're set up with DMB, you also want to search Equifax and Experian to see if you have anything reporting with them as well. And you could do a free search with Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian at creditsuite.com/reports. Now, you want to do this because if you do have records, you want to check and make sure that they're accurate and they're actually complete. But if you don't have records with them, you still want to do this search to see if you do or don't. So let's say you say, look, I'm a brand new business. I've been open for a year. I don't have any credit reporting with DMB or Equifax, so I'm not even going to do the search. You still want to do the free search, and here's why. Experian and Equifax will populate credit reports for you and give you failing credit scores, even if you have absolutely no credit reporting with them. I just had an email today come in with this exact same problem. Somebody they said, what happened? My Bank of America just notified me that they lowered the limit on my business credit card because they say that I have negative things going on with my business credit reports. Well, the reality is we see these cases all the time, and 9 out of 10, there's nothing negative on the business credit reports. What's happened is Experian and Equifax have realized the business exists. They populate a credit report. They issue a failing credit score. And then what happens is anybody that's extended that business credit gets notified, and they start pulling credit, lowering limits, or calling credit lines due. We see this all the time. So you do not have to have bad credit to have this bad business credit scores in the business world. They just have to know you exist. And this is why you need to do this free search, because if anything's wrong, you want to go through and correct it, make sure it's accurate, but you also want to see if you have a credit profile established. Now, if you pull up a search result with Equifax Experian, they have populated a credit report for you. It probably makes sense for you to actually look at your credit reports, okay? So again, Experian, Equifax will report things or will give you a score even if they have no reporting history from any credit issuers who've ever extended you credit. So once we've done this, we've set up the business credibly in step 1. In step 2, we've come in and we made sure that we got the business set up with the IRS. We got the Secretary of State. We got the EIN number. All those things are done correctly. We also need to make sure that we get the DUNS number. We do a free search at creditsuite.com/reports. The next step is to start building business credit onto your actual profile and score. And you're typically going to start with trade credit. I'll go over 2 ways to do this today. Now, trade credit is also called trade lines. It's also called payment experiences. It's the issuing of credit to you that reports on your credit reports. Now, early on, you're going to be able to get terms like net 30, okay, instead of revolving. Revolving credit, you could spend $1,000 and pay a minimum payment of $25, for example, and not have to pay that full balance off through considerable time. Now, with net accounts, you got to pay the full balance in its entirety within that time period. So net 30 means you have 30 days in its entirety to pay the account, for example. So this is for things you buy all the time: coffee, shipping boxes, office supplies. Vendors offer stuff that you're probably buying for your business using cash right now. They could alleviate your cash flow while helping you build business credit at the same time. Now, not every vendor can help you like true starter vendors can. True starter vendors is what I call them. These are vendors that do 2 things. They will give you credit even when you have none, even as a startup, okay? And they don't require your social security number or personal guarantee to do so. That's what a starter vendor is to me. They don't require a guarantee or personal credit check, and they will give you credit even when you have none already. So you want to use vendors that will approve you even if you have no credit already, people that make it easy to get approved. You'll also need to make sure that they report to the business credit reporting agencies. Not a lot of vendors meet these requirements. You're not going to find a lot of vendors that report to the reporting agencies and who will actually give you credit even if you have none now. And this is one of the biggest mistakes I see people run into, is we'll run into people that say, yeah, I've got good business credit. We pull their business credit reports with Equifax, Experian, or Equifax, Experian, Equifax. We even pull it with CreditSafe, and there's no credit report. And we find out it's because all the vendors they thought they have credit with and do have credit with don't report to the reporting agencies. So make sure that your credit reports to DNB, Equifax, or Experian, or even CreditSafe. CreditSafe's an up-and-coming reporting agency, but most lenders are still using the main 3, DNB, Equifax, and Experian. Now, you'll want to have 5 or more of these accounts to move on to the next step, at least 5. And I say 8. 5 to 8, because what happens is an account reporting to one reporting agency counts or is called a payment experience. So if you have one account that reports to Equifax, Experian, and DNB, that counts as 3 payment experiences. So the reality is you should have about 8 payment experiences or about 5 reported accounts. If you get 5 reported accounts, more than likely some of those 5 will report to one reporting agency, which will give you multiple payment experiences. Now, this is important because you need to build credit with DNB, Equifax, and Experian. If you only built credit with Experian, well, then all the credit issuers that look at DNB and Equifax wouldn't approve you. So by getting as many credit accounts as in each step as you can gives you the most chance of having credit across all 3 reporting agencies and increasing your probability of getting approved. So store credit will be the next step in the process. And again, you may have to apply more than once with some of these vendors, since some of them are starting vendors, and since some of you may have skipped some stuff in step 1, when you make mistakes, especially with credibility, then what happens is the credit issuers like Uline and Quill may make you place multiple orders, more than just one order. You may place an order, they may tell you you're not approved, then you still want to pay for that order with cash, and then place another order or another order, but in most cases they'll they'll approve you the first time around if you set up your credibility right. If they haven't, then place 2 or 3 orders. And you may need to buy some things you normally wouldn't usually buy, right? At the same time, Uline sells packaging supplies. Maybe you don't need a bunch of packaging supplies, but remember, you're not using Uline necessarily to buy packaging supplies. You're buying Uline to build your business credit. So remember, the value of these accounts is the credit of the reporting of the credit on your reporting or on your business credit reports, not necessarily that they're going to have things that you need. It's to be able to get credit with people that will issue it to you, to show you're responsible and pay on time, so the rest of the credit you want becomes accessible because they have that established payment history. Okay, even if there are things you don't want, you can always donate them to charity for that matter. But again, there's so many things at places like Uline, Quill you could find that you're more than likely going to be able to find what you want. So Uline, they're a true starter vendor. You can find them at uline.com. They sell shipping, packaging, industrial supplies, all kinds of things, and they report to DMB. So Uline is really good because they even sell envelopes and things you could use for direct mail, for example. So there's a lot of things they even sell to help you market while you're growing your business. Now, you've got to have your DUNS number and a couple references they'll ask you for to get approved, and this is common. A bank reference. So credit issuers won't typically verify your bank account, but they will oftentimes ask you for a bank reference. Well, you're not going to have a business bank reference if you don't have a business bank account. That's one of the reasons that I tell you early on that you want to make sure that you set up that bank account. Now, your first few orders, again, you might need to prepay especially if you didn't set up that credibility correct in step 1. And again, you might buy things you don't need to use a lot, but for example, even with direct mail campaigns, there's a lot of envelopes, things you can easily find. Now, Quill's a little bit easier. They have over 1 million products on record. They're a true starter vendor. They sell office supplies, packaging, cleaning supplies, and they report to DMB and Experience. So this is what I was just telling you about. They count as 2 payment experiences because they report to 2 reporting agencies. You still should get 5 accounts, but again, these could add up to 8 payment experiences or more because places like Quill report to multiple reporting agencies, so something to consider. Now, because they report to 2, you can get 2 credited payment experiences, as I just mentioned. You have to place an initial order with them, okay, unless you already have an established Dun Bradstreet credit score, or again, even in step 1, if you set up your business credibly, you might not need to prepay those orders. Usually they'll put you on a 90-day repayment schedule. They might not even report the initial credit for 90 days, the very first order you place. So keep that in mind and expect that. And then typically they report every month after that first 90-day period. Okay, now what's nice about Quill, we've got clients that use Quill for marketing flyers, bandit signs, all kinds of printing. So what I like about Quill is you can actually use it to market your business in the beginning. In that way, you could use it to grow the business while building your business credit at the same time, which is pretty cool. Monopolize your marketplace. They're a true starter vendor. You can find them at mymonline.com. They sell everything you need. They sell a bunch of marketing things, but they also have a 10 disc audio CD set, which is like 5 payments of $59, which is one of the cheaper things they buy or that they sell. They report to Experian, and you just want to check the 4 equal payments of $59.99 option when you buy that CD set. You might have to call them to get it, or you might actually be able to just to find it right away on their website. And again, they'll charge you in 30 days. They report monthly, but they're going to require a bank account, EIN, and a deliverable address for you to actually get the CDs. And unlike Quill that might wait 90 days to report, they're reporting basically every 30 to 60 days, which is awesome. Now, you'll also know that there are you're going to find a lot of these applications ask for references. So know that there's a lot of companies that don't report to the business credit reporting agencies, but could still be used as trade references, okay? So these basically help you ease cash flow. They don't help you build business credit, but they will count as trade references. So PayPal, for example, I really recommend that everybody uses Square or PayPal for credit cards, as well as another merchant account, because both PayPal and Square are very good at giving loans early on in the process. So use PayPal. Use Square for some of your credit card transactions. They'll give you loans starting in about 6 months. And the other nice thing is they'll be a great credit reference for you as you're building your business credit. T-Mobile, Sprint, AT&T, for example, Best Buy. A lot of these companies don't report, but they'll still give you credit and also work as great as a trade reference as well. So some things to keep in mind. Now, another great way besides trade credit is called unsecured business credit. And this is another way to build that initial business credit profile and score. Now, most of these accounts report to the business credit reporting agencies I'm about to tell you about. So it's kind of a way of expediting your business credit building, and you don't need cash flow or collateral for approval. All you need is to basically have a decent credit score to be able to get approved. Now, with this, it's unsecured business credit lines. So what's happening is instead of using vendor credit at the beginning to build your business credit reports, instead, you're using these accounts. You're getting 5 Visa cards, MasterCards, cash credit cards you can use to build your initial business credit. You usually get 0% interest rates for 6 to 18 months. They're perfect for startups because there's no cash flow verification. That's why startups usually can't get loans, because the lenders want to see bank statements or tax returns. Well, in this case, neither are required, so even startups are able to get it. And a lot of people in high-risk industries that can't get other kind of loans can get this kind of financing as well. So what happens is the finance source actually goes out and secures business credit cards on your behalf. Okay, the company isn't a lender or credit issuer. Their basic specialty is they just specialize on knowing everything there is to know about credit cards. Okay, and so their function is experts when it comes to credit cards, and they actually will come in and get you much more credit than you'd actually be able to get on your own. And they're doing it by getting you multiple credit cards. So they're getting you business credit cards with cash out capability. So they're giving you the benefit of credit cards where you get 0% rates for 6 to 18 months. They give you the benefit of credit lines because you could take the cash out at 0%, which is something you can't do with credit lines. And they're getting you multiple accounts, which means that you'll get multiple trade lines on your business credit reports. They'll typically get you 5 to 8 different cards with cash out capability that can report on your business credit reports. Okay, now they can get you just 1 or 2 if you only want that, or 5 or more. I recommend go for 5 or more, because that gives you your initial 5 trade lines you need. And instead of starting with vendor credit, which is going to give you $500 to $2,000 limits, these are often $5,000 to $50,000 individual limit accounts. So now you're starting your business credit with $5,000 to $50,000 trade lines, 5 of them. So it really helps expedite your business credit building. You'll typically get about 5 times the amount of credit you'll get on your own with this source from what we found. And again, usually if you went to your bank to try to do this, they'd only give you 1 credit card, and then you would have no idea if that card would even report to the reporting agencies. I'll give you an example. I got a PNC Bank application the other day, and I asked them who it reported to. They told me it reported on my business credit reports. I asked somebody else that was senior up, and they said it would report on my business and personal credit reports. This is the problem. A lot of these credit issuers, the front end people, don't even know where the credit reports. And so with these, you're dealing with accounts that help you build business credit at the exact same time you're getting access to a bunch of cash credit. Now, don't get me wrong. They will give you standard cards if you want them that report to the consumer reporting agencies. If you don't want them, you just tell them you only want the business accounts. So again, how much money you get depends on what you want. So for example, if you want to build your business credit, get the most amount of money you possibly can get, well, then you'll probably go with standard and business cards because you'll get a lot more money and still get business credit reporting. If you'd rather get less money and only get business credit reporting, then you just tell these finance sources that that's all you want, and they'll help you get that. Okay, 0% interest rates, normal rates after that. Okay, and they'll also get you cards with the best points. You don't need assets or collateral to get approved, so there's no collateral in case of default, which makes it unsecured. All that matters is your personal credit. And they're going to typically want to see scores of about 680 to get business cards or 650 to get personal cards. Now, you can use a guarantor as well. So if your credit's not good, but a friend, a family member, somebody else's credit is good, well, then you can use their credit, add them to the business, and the finance sources will even help you do this. And then you can use their credit to get your business credit initially started instead of using your own. Okay, now having a bunch of these different accounts gives you multiple trade lines. Okay, and you can get up to 150,000 per entity. Okay, we see these all the time with 60 to 100, $120,000 approvals are pretty common. So this is something lenders don't offer or advertise. Again, there's probably less than 5 credible finance sources I've seen out there that offer this. Not only will you get money, but you're building your business credit at the same time. And again, what happens is in about 3 weeks, you're able to get the credit, and then that credit's reporting, and about 60 to 90 days later, on the high end, you're able to then have those accounts reporting and move on to the next step of building business credit. So again, they're going to want no derogatory items on the credit report, no that are recent, no bankruptcies, no judgments, no tax liens. You can't be a credit counselor. Your credit needs to be pretty good. To get the business cards, you need a 680 score. It needs to be pretty good, or your guarantor's credit needs to be pretty good as well. They're basically just looking for no late payments and no major drugs like tax liens, etc. And they're going to want you to have utilization ratios under about 30%. 40% max. Okay. And they're going to want to look and see that you have about less than 6 inquiries in the last 6 months. So I usually don't talk that much in depth about the qualifying process for this, but that is exactly what it takes to actually get approved. As I mentioned, you can use a guarantor as well. Maybe somebody that wants to invest in your business, maybe somebody that wants a piece of equity of your business, whatever it may be, but it's a good way to go. Now, the lender will usually charge you a 9 to 12% success fee. The ones we work with usually charge about 9.99% and roll it into the cards, just like you would an SBA loan. And so it's just like any other kind of loan. You're basically paying a fee and rolling it into the actual card. So I've given you 2 different ways to build business credit initially, right? So we've set up the business credibly. You've got set up with the IRS and got your EIN number. You did a free search, got your DUNS number set up. Then we got 5 initial accounts. The question is how did we do it? You could use vendor accounts like Uline and Quill and Monopolize your marketplace, for example. These guys will give you credit with no personal guarantee and no personal credit check. So since there's no personal credit check, you can get approved for the first option I showed you, no matter how good or bad your personal credit may be. The second option I showed you, you do need a personal guarantee. There is a personal credit check. You do need pretty good credit, 680 FICO or higher, or you need a guarantor with the 680 FICO or higher. But that way will give you actual physical cash credit cards, Visa cards, MasterCards, Amex cards you can use anywhere, plus get 0%, plus take the cash out, plus build your business credit. So a good way to go if you don't mind them rolling in a fee and you don't mind them providing a personal guarantee. Just so you know, I personally do both. I use vendors and I also use these cards because I think they're fantastic. The primary American Airlines card that I use every day for my business came from one of those sources. And even though they insisted on not charging us, we still insisted on paying their fee anyways, because I think it's worth every penny of what they do. So you've got 2 options. You can do both. You can do one or the other, whichever makes the most sense for you. It brings you to this point. Once you have 5 accounts reporting on your business credit reports, well, now it's time to start monitoring your actual business credit. You've got to know what's happening with your credit report. And here's why. There are so many misconceptions and myths about business credit, and it all revolves around the same thing. People think that time in business and revenue are the driving factors to get you approved for business credit. It's absolutely not the case. Even though credit issuers' applications will say this, it's just not the case. The primary driver of whether or not you'll get approved for business credit accounts or not is based on how many trade lines you have reporting. So in almost any case, if you are not getting approved, let me give you an example. Let's say you go to Office Depot and you try to get a credit card with no PG and no personal credit check, and you get, well, let me go backwards. Let's say you go to Sam's Club and you try to get approved for a credit card with no personal guarantee, no personal credit check. They may deny you, and maybe you have 5 accounts reporting. Well, more than likely, the reason they denied you is because they want you to have more than 5 reporting to get approved. So now you go to Office Depot and they approve you, and you go to Dell and they approve you, and you go to Staples, they approve you. And now you come back to Sam's Club with 10 reported accounts, you'll find they'll typically approve you. So if you get stuck in this process and you fail, you're failing typically because you don't have enough accounts for that specific credit issuer to get approved. That's the hardest part about building business credit is you don't, if you're doing this on your own, you don't know exactly how many accounts each credit issuer must see to approve you. So it's a lot of trial and error, okay? And this is something that, for example, this is why we map this out for our clients. For our clients know every single source and exactly how many trade lines they need to get approved for that source, because some want 5, some want 6, some want 7, some want 8. If you don't know that, nobody's telling you the right information for every source. You just have to go through a process of trial and error. So expect that as you go through this process. So you need to see how many of these accounts are reporting to know when to move to the next step. And you need to make sure those accounts are being reported. And you want to address any errors as soon as possible, because even one negative account could really hurt your score if you don't have many accounts reporting. So get in the habit of checking your business credit reports regularly, digging into the details, and not just looking at your scores. You need to look at those trade history to make sure that that's accurate. Now, you can go and set up credit monitoring with Experian and D&B Total for only $24 a month if you go to our website, creditsuite.com/monitoring. We partner with NAV. It's the cheapest business credit monitoring you're going to find anywhere besides CreditSafe. CreditSafe, I think, is even cheaper, but they don't report a lot of the stuff that you're going to need to see with D&B, Equifax, and Experian, so you can never rely solely on them. So this is the cheapest way you're ever going to get Experian in D&B. It's $24 a month through our NAV integration relationship. You can also go directly to them. You can go to dnb.com. It's $159 a month if you go to them directly. You can go to Experian directly as well. Experian directly charges you $49 a month, so it's about $210 a month with them if you go to them directly. You can also go through Equifax, and Equifax directly is about $20 a month. Now, my recommendation is to get the D&B and Experian for $24 and get the Equifax for $20. It's $44 a month. You have all three. But if you don't want to spend that much, then at least get D&B and Experian. They're the most important because most credit reports to them. And you don't have to get Equifax, but for $20 a month, it is worth it if the $20 doesn't break you. Experian and Equifax, Equifax is $20. Experian actually now is about $50, and D&B is about $159 is the actual new pricing that they currently have. So you want to update your information. If there's any errors, you can dispute it right online through iUpdate with D&B for free. With Experian and Equifax, you can go directly to them too, but they'll usually want you to have credit monitoring before they'll let you dispute. So if you have any inaccuracies on there, iUpdate through D&B is free, and you can update anything on there that you may feel to be inaccurate. Well, Experian and Equifax will cost you the credit monitoring directly with them to actually resolve any inaccuracies that you may have on that business credit report. So step 6, once you've got 5 accounts reporting, and again, we did it through trade credit with no personal guarantee, no personal credit check, or we did it through cash credit, Visa cards, MasterCards, and used it that way. And again, at the bottom of any of these slides, creditsuite.com/EIN is a free guide. You can also just go to our website, creditsuite.com, and give us a ring, and I'll give you our phone number again on the last slide. And you can feel free to give us a call and ask us any questions. So, for example, if you like the unsecured business financing program, well, just give us a ring. We'll connect you with well, probably the best source for you that can help. We work with a lot of them, and even though we don't do that ourselves, we work with so many that we know the best ones for you, and we'll get you where you need to be. And usually you can even get approved within an hour, 2 hours on that program. Or if you want to just get specific questions answered or talk more about the faster way to build business credit, feel free to get our phone number right on our website as well. So now we've went to step 5. We monitor, we made sure those 5 accounts are reporting. And once we have the 5 accounts, now we can start to move on to revolving accounts. Now, I usually like to refer to this as store credit, because it's places like Office Depot and Staples and Costco and Sam's Club, right? It's credit at most major retailers, but it's not necessarily just store credit. Pitney Bowes offers this kind of credit. They're not really a store. Apple or excuse me, Sprint, AT&T, they're not really stores, but I call it store credit because a lot of this is the credit that you're getting at major retail stores, but it's basically just retailer credit. Most major retailers offer this kind of credit. So these companies are more likely to have what it is that you actually need for your business. You're using your EIN. You're not providing the Social Security number on the application. So one example is Lowe's. They report to D&B, Equifax, and Experian. It's 3 payment experiences, and they're going to want to see you have a DUNS and a PAYDEX score of 78. That's what they're looking for. Well, and they also want to see 5 trades. So you got your DUNS number already. We did that early on in step 3. And the PAYDEX score automatically gets established once you have 3 accounts reporting. So we just did that in the last step. If you pay your bill as agreed, on time, that would give you an 80 PAYDEX. So even a little bit of leeway here to maybe not make your payment timely, but as long as you're paying on time or early, then you'd be able to qualify for Lowe's, for example. Okay, but there's a lot more examples, right? There's Office Depot, there's Apple, there's Chevron, there's Amazon, Tractor Supply, BP, there's Shell, Exxon, Costco, Sunoco, Sears, Sprint, Best Buy, there's BJ's, there's AutoZone, Dell. I mean, the Nordstrom even it has business credit. Macy's offers business credit. So a lot of places, most major retailers out there offer business credit, including places like Apple and Amazon. Now, don't get stuck. A lot of people think that you have to get to the end of building business credit, the Visa cards, the MasterCards, to get the end reward. Well, that's just not accurate. If you think about what you need for your business every day, more than likely places like Staples and Office Depot, places like Amazon, places like Walmart have exactly what you need. I mean, almost a lot of what we buy, we're just using our Amazon corporate card for whatever. Anybody walks in my office and says, "Ty, I need this. I need binders. I need these sheets. I need paper. I need anything." We're just immediately nowadays going to Amazon and using our Amazon corporate card. But being that we're in a physical office, getting Sharpies for my whiteboards and almost everything, or whiteboard markers and chalk for our chalkboards, almost all that stuff we could buy on Amazon, we could buy on Staples, we could buy on Office Depot. So think of it like this. When you're trying to get physical cash for your business, a lot of banks are greedy and stingy with how much cash they'll give you. So try to use store credit to buy as much stuff as you can buy at places like Amazon and Walmart. And then that leaves you with a smaller need for less cash that you're actually going to be able to use loans, credit lines, Visa cards, MasterCards for, which brings me to this step 7. So step 7 is another way. In some cases, you can get some of that cash credit, but it's actually fleet credit. So if you have 8 to 10 accounts reporting, then you can move on to fleet credit. Now, this is places like BP, Conoco. This is places like Sunoco and Chevron and Shell. And you can basically use this to get fuel and to get repair and maintain vehicles. And you're only going to use your EIN credit to be able to get approved. So here's an example of Shell. They report to D&B and Experian. They want to see a PAYDEX score of 78 and that your phone number is listed with 411. Kind of weird, right? Lowe's didn't care about the 411 listing. Shell does. So this is why I tell you, you've got to go through those initial steps. And I'll give you an example. Walmart doesn't care if Amazon doesn't care if your business address is a home address. Walmart does. Walmart won't approve you with that, and Amazon doesn't care. So again, some credit issuers like Shell, they don't care if they don't care if you're not set up in some ways, but other ways they do. So example, like I said, with Shell, they care that you're listed with 411. Lowe's doesn't. This is why by following all credibility steps in step 1, you make sure that you're going to meet the requirements that all these credit issuers have. And some of them just have some of the requirements. Some of them have all. Okay. Now they might want you to have a certain amount of time in business or a certain revenue. But again, if you have enough trade accounts, you're able to get approved with them. So that's a perfect example. So fleet credit, you can get fuel, you can get auto vehicle repairs, you can get auto vehicle maintenance. If you're just driving your primary vehicle, that's not bad to have. It's pretty cool. But if you're a truck driver and you're driving an 18-wheel truck where it's $600 to fill up your gas tank and repairs cost thousands of dollars and you're using your own money to do that and getting paid back, well, that's a really big deal. So depending on what industry you're in, fleet credit could be a lifesaver for you or just maybe something you use every here and there. Some of our clients even report being able to physically take cash out on their fleet cards as well. And a lot of our clients report approvals of $5,000 to $40,000 in this step, just getting fleet credit. So this brings us to step 8, cash credit. Now, if you've been responsibly handling the credit and paying your bills as agreed, which we assume that you have, then you can move on to cash credit. These are companies like Visa, MasterCard. These are American Express cards you can use anywhere. Now, with all the credit we've applied for so far, except for that unsecured business financing program shortcut, you want to leave your Social Security number off the application. So a lot of misconceptions here. Some people think it's, for some reason, as crazy as it sounds, they think it's fraud if you leave your Social Security number off the application. So let's talk about that. The law says you can never misrepresent your Social Security number. Again, I'm not an attorney. Every time I talk about the law, I want to say that. But I will tell you, if you look into this, that you're not allowed by law to misrepresent your Social Security number. So you never want to use a CPN number. You never want to use anything other than your actual Social Security number in a Social Security number field ever. Okay, it gets you in all kinds of problems. But you can leave that field blank. There's no law that says that you must give a credit issuer your social if they ask for it. It's your choice to give it to them or not. Now, if you don't give them the social and you force them to make a lending decision without it, well, then oftentimes with loans, et cetera, you're going to get denied. Okay, but with credit, with revolving credit, you'll oftentimes get approved if you have enough trade lines reporting for that credit issuer to approve you. So for example, if you have 12, 14 accounts reporting and you go to get that Visa card with PNC Bank or with Chase, then and you leave the Social Security number off the application, you're going to force them to pull your business credit instead. And if your business credit is strong enough and that credit issuer issues credit without a personal guarantee or without a personal credit check, they absolutely will approve you. The key is to leave your Social Security number off the application. How do you do that? In some cases, they're electronic applications. Well, in those cases where they won't let you submit it without the social, well, then you need to go another route. You need to go a fax route. You need to call them to apply instead. So an example here is Amazon. If you go to get an Amazon commercial credit card the right path, they ask you flat out, what do you want to do? Do you want to personally guarantee it and provide your social, or do you not want to? If you say you don't want to, they don't even ask for the social. But a lot of other accounts like Office Depot and Staples will ask you for the social. And if you don't put the social in online, they won't even let you proceed to the next step in the electronic application. So what do? Well, you get their application, you print it, you fax it, or you call them and apply that way. One of those two ways, they'll give you the credit without the PG, without actually supplying the social. The electronic means they won't. So never provide the social unless you want to give a guarantee and a personal credit check. The way to do it, if they won't let you do it online, is go to an offline route like calling or faxing. So a Fuelman is a MasterCard, for example. They report to DNB and Equifax. They want to see a paid X of 78, 10 trades, and $10,000 high limit on DNB. This $10,000 high limit is very common, meaning when you get to Visa cards, MasterCards, Amex, they usually want to see three main things. One, that you're paying your bills as agreed. That's what a 78 paid X literally means. You're just paying your bills on time. They're all going to want to see that you pay your bills on time. Okay. The second thing, they're going to want to see that you have 10 or more trade lines. Depending on the source, can be anywhere usually between 10 and 14. Third thing, they're going to want to see that you have at least one $10,000 limit credit card reporting on your business credit reports. That may sound crazy, but in our world, that happens fairly quick. That's happening in 60 or 90 days. That's happening in the store credit round. It's pretty tough to get 5 or more revolving store credit cards and not get a $10,000 limit. Dell, for example, is notorious for giving $10,000 limits early in the business credit building process. So if you have those three things, a Paydex score reflecting you pay your bills agreed, or Experian or Equifax score reflecting the same, 10 or more trades, and one account with a $10,000 limit, that is what will get you to a point where you're getting the Visa card, the American Express, the MasterCards without the P&G, without the credit check. So there's also companies like Walmart and Dell, Home Depot, BP, Racetrack. These are oftentimes MasterCards. Sometimes you can use anywhere. So I'll give you an example. Sam's Club has two different credit cards. You can get Sam's Club to use at Sam's Club and only Sam's Club, or you could get Sam's Club cash credit card, Visa card, MasterCard. Now, these come and go. BJ's is the same way. Sometimes BJ's and Sam's Club have their card available with no PG. Sometimes they pull it back. Sometimes available, sometimes. This is the why we never publish lists of these sources, because sometimes it changes daily. But that's the way a lot of these sources are. I'm like this in the personal world. I have a Walmart MasterCard I could use anywhere. I could use it anywhere I want to. And I have a Walmart card I can only use at Walmart. So a lot of these card issuers will issue you Visa, MasterCards you can use anywhere, as well as just in their stores. And you need about 10 or 14 trades to get most of that revolving cash credit that you're looking to get. So you always want to use your credit responsibly. Don't borrow more than what you need. Remember, business credit scores are based on how you pay. So if you start going late on stuff, you're going to completely do the opposite of what you came here to do, which is to build your business credit. You're going to make it negative, which is not what you want to do. Keep track of balances and deadlines. It's very important, especially with vendor credit. Remember, business credit scores are based on how you pay, which means as soon as you're allowed to pay, you want to pay. So it sometimes means keeping an Excel log of the balances you have and when that payment is due or when you bought it, to pay it as early as possible. When I use my Quill, as soon as they ship the item, I go to pay. When I use my Office Depot, I can't pay as soon as they ship. They won't even let me pay till they populate a statement. So again, you want to keep track of these so you never, ever pay late, okay? Because paying on time is what will raise your score, okay? That's what they want to see. Credit reports also reflect the recent amount of credit you've used. So again, if you don't expect to get 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 limit accounts, if all you're doing is spending less than $100 to credit issuers, it won't necessarily work like that. Okay. If they see you're using the credit, then they're going to give you higher and higher limits. But if you're only using, the limit for very little money, they're not going to issue you more credit because they know you're not going to use it. So remember to use the credit, pay it in full, pay it on time. If it's revolving, you don't have to pay it on in full, but you do want to pay it on time. Okay. Good business credit scores help you get loans. Your lender knows you can pay your debts. They know your business is for real. Your EIN connects the high scores that lenders won't feel the need to demand a personal guarantee in some cases down the road. Look, the reality is with loans, you're going to need to provide your social. You're going to need to provide your personal guarantee until your business is very well established. And the reason for that is because your business credit reports also show your revenue. They show your profit. They show your employees. So credit issuers don't look at all those factors. Their computers don't look at those factors to get approvals. So it's very easy to get a $40,000 Amazon credit card, a $30,000 with Apple, a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 revolving Visa card. But it's very difficult to get a $30,000 loan. You can get a $30,000 Visa all day long because their computers making the decisions work on a formula that I just decoded for you. The problem is with banks, in a lot of cases, manual underwriting comes into play. Now they're looking at employees. Now they're looking at time in business. Now they're looking at revenue. Now they're looking at profit. So it could be a while before you start getting the loans without the PG, although in the very early stages, within days of starting your business, you're able to start getting it with the business credit. So create a legitimate business with creditors feel they can trust. Make sure you get your EIN set up with the IRS and try to go with an entity with your Secretary of State as being an LLC or a corporation. Make sure you get your DUNS number, creditsuite.com/DUNS, and do that free check at creditsuite.com/reports to see if the reporting agencies know you exist. Now, Get real starting vendor credit. You can either do it using trade credit or do it using a financial source that specializes in getting you corporate credit cards that will help you build your initial 5 trade lines. Monitor to see those accounts actually showing up on your credit report and correct any errors that you may have. Once you have 5 to 8 accounts, then you can move on to store credit. You can move on to fleet credit cards with 8 to 10 accounts. And then you can move on to cash credit card accounts once you start to have 10 or more accounts reporting one account with a $10,000 high. Always manage the credit responsibly. Make sure that you pay your bills on time or early. It's essential to being able to continue the process. So look, if you have questions along the way, feel free to reach out to us. 877-600-2487, 877-600-2487, or email us, info@creditsuite.com. Don't forget to grab your free guide at creditsuite.com/EIN as well. Look, there's a lot of different ways we can definitely help you. One, we work with all different kinds of loans and credit lines. We deal with credit lines that have no consumer credit check. We deal with credit lines that work just for startups, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're looking for physical money, well, then give us a call. We'll talk to you about all the money you can qualify for. And when it comes to getting loans, we never charge you a dime, not beforehand, not when the loan closes. The bank actually gives us a referral commission. That's how we get paid. So we can definitely help you, and we help you through the whole process of getting loans and credit lines. If you're interested in building business credit, we've got a great paid coaching program where you're using our technology and working with our team to help you through the process. Look, we've helped over 10,000 people build business credit in the last few years. We've got a perfect Trustpilot rating, an A+ with the Better Business Bureau, and we're not even accredited, which means we've never paid the BBB a dime of money, and we still have an A+ because we've never had a complaint in the lifetime of our company, and that's for a reason. Our clients get results, and if you get started and you don't want to work with us and realize it's not for you, quit. That's cool. We'll give you your money back within 30 days, okay? But if you're in this to win it, you'll see that we help you build business credit cheaper than you will on your own because we pay for your 411. We pay for a lot of things you're going to pay for out of pocket. And at the exact same time, we're going to help you take what may take you years even knowing the steps and condense it down into only months, because all the roadblocks you're about to experience along this path, we help break down. We help you avoid before you even get to them. So if you are looking for the fastest way to build business credit or have questions, make sure you give us a ring, 877-600-2487 or info@creditsuite.com. Or if you're interested in the unsecured financing program or getting any loans or credit lines, make sure you reach out to us as well. We can definitely talk to you about all the different kind of loans and financing that you're able to get right now. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I thought I had some time for some questions, but it's actually 2 o'clock and I have a 2 o'clock starting right now. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. If you do have any other questions along the way, feel free to give us a ring, 877-600-2487 and info@creditsuite.com. So I will, and actually, that being said, I don't have any other things coming in. So great. Don't forget to grab your free guide, creditsuite.com/EIN, and feel free to give us a ring or send us an email with any questions. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you have a great day. And don't forget, I'll be back in 2 weeks for our next webinar. If you subscribe to YouTube at youtube.com/creditsuite every other Tuesday. So next Tuesday, I'll be live on YouTube instead of doing a live webinar. And if you go to our main website, creditsuite.com, the top right of our page, subscribe on Facebook, subscribe on Periscope. We go live there every week. We answer questions in real time. We use whiteboards to map out the process. So there's a lot of great ways you can get in touch and get more information. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.